This podcast is brought to you by HEC Paris.
I have a very strong feeling that a lot happened during this week. I saw a lot of evolution, a lot of awareness, a lot of reflection, a lot of very strong interaction.
We want you to become leaders and not to remain at the level of managers. As a leader, you will be able to change the life of many people. The key factor of success for a long period of time of a company is the ability of this company to renew itself. And to be able to renew itself, a company must have a collective identity.
I can tell you who I want to be today, but I can't tell you who I want to be tomorrow, because identity should be fluid.
Too often, we forget the importance of human beings.
We don't get a chance to see him speak that often, and so it was a pleasure to hear him talk about leadership in general. And his lecture was very unique, and I didn't expect it to be the way it was.
You're not born as a leader, for sure. The influence of your childhood is very important, but if you don't work on it, even if your childhood was very favorable for that, too bad. You will be overpassed by others.
As we've seen in the past, leaders can become carried away with their own power and their own sense of self-worth, and they maybe exploit it. Definitely, it's possible.
Don't be cynical. I mean, I'm saying, well, too bad, there are poor people, I'm at the top, too bad to them.
As confident as you are, you also have to question yourself.
Please do spend time thinking about what you've done, about what you're doing.
I just want to be a positive, contributing member of this world and do sustainable activities, sustainable business, and make a difference for the better.
To be a leader cannot be the final objective of any human being, of course, except if you need to be a leader to build something.
Do I want to be a leader? That depends on what your definition is. Do I want to have influence on people? Well, I would like to have influence. I've been influenced by people, and I would eventually like to give that influence back because I see it as beneficial. Obviously, you need certain experiences in different areas and whatnot, so you can't give influence in one area as opposed to another area.
Power is not something you can find in a box, or in a tin, or in a bottle. Power is the perception from others. I'm pretty sure that the power I have in Alcatel-Lucent is relatively small, but the influence I have in the organization is massive. And that's because you need to look to what the role of leadership is.
Power is influence. You just have to find a better name to put it, so that, because you always have, like, now people are more educated, so if you feel like you're telling them that you have power over them, they'll feel very reticent towards you. But if you use the word energy or influence, then people will be like, yeah, that's true, you know, they're more compliant with you and they'll deal with you better.
The most important thing that makes you an attractive person to work with is that you have fun and that you like what you're doing and that you don't do it for yourself, but you do it for the team.
The job is so demanding, we need to have fun always. Second thing, you need to love people.
If you have this certain personality where you can sort of cut the tension, you know, get rid of the tension, then I think things are smoother, you know, like people can be more themselves. And I like to see people as themselves as opposed to as, this was supposed to with the front that they came with.
To have influence, you must be an example too. But basically it is, I would say, fun in your team, fun by success, and solid spirit when it's tough.
If you have a brain, you have to do something with it. If you're lucky enough to have health and the capacity to either guide people or do something with your life, you have to do the best of it.
So the French forces were there because there was a big revolution in Chad, and at one point the French forces had to go and fight and neutralize rebel forces. You have overwhelming power, no problem. You can kill them in 10-20 minutes. It's pretty easy. You are that colonel. What do you do? What's at stake?
They are uncomfortable about being challenged and pushed out of their comfort zone and usual way of thinking.
You agree with torture and death?
Killing a bad guy is having a lesser evil on Earth. Well, it's still killing. So are you okay with that? I mean, remember what you stand for, what you truly stand for. And always remember you have a choice. And I think people tend to forget that very easily.
30 years ago, and we were accused of doing a bit of torture, and some guys did. Well, 30 years after that, everybody looks at us and thinks, you're naughty boys, it's very bad. But still, some of you agree with torture and death. I mean, you see, the decision is not easy. Yes?
Yes, so I suppose that this operation has been planned, yes. And it's not because you want to attack that you will attack within the minute. So you can maybe inform them with air papers, papers that you send by air. Yes. I know that it has been done.
When you have a huge army, you don't send the general first. But when you have a small unit, the leader is somebody who should show the example and should go first.
If the platoon leader goes and negotiates, they'll just capture a high-ranking officer and they'll have the negotiating power after.
Ah, that's a good thought.
The end of this week is just the very, very beginning of starting to become a little bit aware of what's going on.
I would try to send a missile to a nearby area with no people, so they'd understand that I'm losing one of my missiles only to demonstrate my power, and so they understand the message.
But that's interesting, because in your mind, when you send a missile or shoot at someone but aim on the side, that means that you want to talk, okay?
Yes.
Now, but I mean, that's not, in French we call that un coup de semonce. I can tell you that in many countries it's not understood like this. It's understood that guy, he doesn't know how to shoot.
I think something I realized this week about myself is that in order to develop more leadership skills and really continue with being a strong individual and learning my values and establishing my values more clearly, is that I need to continue to push myself outside of my comfort zone, to continue to decontextualize myself, learn new cultures, new languages, and really interact with people on a deeper level.
This week was about challenging you, as was said today, creating probably more doubt in you. If you look back, and you will look back and think back about what happened day on day, maybe in a few years even, and you probably get then more out of it than you do now.
We cannot really realize what we learned here and how you're gonna use it and how we're gonna use it, but we're gonna think about it. Because after your interview, for example, I keep thinking about what you asked me and what other people said to me. And said about this vision of leadership. So sometimes you agree, sometimes you disagree, but you build your own leadership way.
I feel that it's a step in improving my path, my condition as a future leader, but it's also an opportunity to know on which issues I have to work on, and on being aware that there are many areas, let's say, to discover and to know better.
I know things I want to do, so I'm hoping that this program will help me narrow down what is exactly the position that I can reach in order to be able to do those things. So hopefully I will find out in about a year. I will let you know.
It is possible for big changes to be made by a few people, and they set a model. And I think it is very important that this young generation should not feel powerless, because they can do things themselves and they can set a fashion which others will then imitate. And so when I'm talking about changing things, I'm always putting it in terms of experiments. I'm saying try it out in a small way and show that it works.
Please visit us at www.agc.edu.